coming up after this next song, and his name is Parrott, and he's on cutting edge here in Houston, and I think he has a lot to share with us. So, without further ado, what we're going to do is go into this particular music set, and then return with Buddy.
After you've worked for a lot of people, I do anyway, just seen a different way of doing things. That I've made a lot of people a lot of money over the years as a sales manager, both internationally and domestically. And so I started looking for something that I could do that would not be capital intensive. Biodiesel was one thing. The whole renewable energy field was something that I really had an interest in because it's the future. 2 years ago, I started seeing natural gas prices and oil prices go up because I'm in the field with the pipelines, I'm in the field with the oil wells, and I'm in touch with the folks that are producing the oil and gas. And I knew that there was a trend coming. So I started thinking about ways that I could get a hold of that trend and somewhere that I could be the future. Again, I said biodiesel was a path that I looked at, but I had a really good friend that works for Marathon. They told me that, it's the future, but it's not the long-term future. And so other forms of renewable energy, solar, I looked at solar electric. So I founded a company based on solar electric, but solar electric is not all that there is as far as solar. There's solar hot water. It's been around since the 1960s. Actually, they were doing it in China. Solar pool heating, a lot of people don't know about that. And then we go into solar attic fans. So there's a lot of different things that you can do using God's free energy to power your home and to offset your utility bill for the long run. So.
That's a very good point right there, because there are a lot of people that have different opinions about what's happening in terms of solar energy, pluses and minuses. So Parrott was able, his bill was defeated. What are some of the feelings that you have, especially in the Houston market? Do you feel that this is a lucrative market for what you're doing?
Well, the door is wide open. Solar has been used in California and Florida, and now we see it in Colorado and New Jersey, and actually about 30-something other states inside of the United States that they have actual incentive programs to help the actual consumer offset the cost of solar. And it's only a matter of time that the oil industry lets go of their piece of the pie and starts sharing and letting consumers get some relief from their energy bills in the long run. So it's coming, and that's why I founded the company, somewhat early in the evolution of solar, because those that are ahead of the curve always ride the curve in the long run. So being early into something it's not always easy every day, but it's coming. And
what were some of the attractions that made you say, okay, I'm going to stick this out? The tax credits, the incentives. What really just made you say, I'm going to stay? Besides, it's coming.
Yeah. Let's be prepared when those laws do pass. Brother Obama, and even if Mr. McCain is elected, they both have their eye on the future, and they both know that energy is something that we've got to be very serious about. He said we've got to change our policies. So Mr. Coleman, although he was not successful, Mr. Ellis is, I think, taking up the torch, and I hope to meet with him actually this week. I was quoted in the article along with him. I've been in contact with his people about helping form the policies for the next generation of solar legislation. Hope to go through the House this next January or February. We open up. We only vote every year and a half in Texas, so it makes it a little bit tougher to institute things that need to happen quickly. But the ball has been put in play, and there's a lot of energy behind renewables, and I think it's going to go past this time on both levels.
What are some of the challenges that you're facing as far as the housing associations are concerned? And I don't mean you personally, I mean the industry itself.
The industry, yeah. It took, in California, it took some laws to loosen the grip of the housing homeowners associations to where, homeowners now have the right to solar. And here in Texas, or specifically here in Houston, because that's where I operate primarily, neighborhoods like Kingwood, they've already let the guard down. Neighborhoods like Greatwood, they've already let the guard down. There's some homeowner associations in the Cypresswood area, they've already let the guard down to let the consumers put solar on their house because they know that it's the future. They know it's coming, so why fight it? But that is somewhat of an obstacle in some neighborhoods. That, you know, if I get a quote a customer in a certain neighborhood and they say, well, no, the homeowner association won't let me do it, I'll help them fight it. I'll give them the information that shows them that this is the future, this has been used other places, and it actually improved the property value of the home, not degraded it, but if done properly and done in a tasteful way will help increase the property values of the whole neighborhood. That's important way to come at it.
Talk to me a little bit more about exactly solar energy. Now, I want you to bring it the other way. I want you to explain it to the person who's sitting next door who doesn't understand what solar energy is. Who doesn't really understand.
I don't know if you've seen the article in the paper, but the last statement that they quoted me on is Orville and Wilbur. Wilbur Wright failed hundreds of times before they succeeded, and now we all ride airplanes. And those who persevere through adversity, will see. Those who have that perseverance will be successful in the long run. So, I look at the future and I look at what's going on, and it makes me get up every day early in the morning and make me stay up 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Though my wife wants to yank my computer out of the wall.
I understand.
Yeah, I understand that. So. I work a lot of hours, but as Brother Parrott and I were just sitting out and a lot of talking about, it says a lot of men have the will to succeed, but not every man has the will to prepare. And so I'm working very hard to
And about the panels and about the different facets that you just mentioned a few minutes ago and areas that it can be used in. So how are you going to sell it to this guy right over here?
Yeah.
Those are some of the people that you need.
Yeah, there's 3 different types of solar energy. That's the most important thing to understand when everybody says, well, I want solar. Well, what type of solar do you want? So solar electric, which generates which generates energy for your home, or there's solar hot water that offsets the cost of home, especially if you have electric water heating. There's also solar pool heating for those folks who have a swimming pool in the backyard. They probably tell you they turned that pool heater on one time and they never did it again. So there's 3 different levels of solar I want to talk about. Solar electric basically uses a silicone-based wafer inside of a glass case that takes the sun and converts it into DC power. DC power is basically direct power to get out of a battery, direct current. We then take that DC power, harness it all together, all the panels together, and we bring it to what we call an inverter, which changes that DC power to AC power, which is what your house consumes. From that inverter, we go directly to your breaker panel on your house, the panel on the side of your house where all your breakers are located, and it's directly consumed in your house. A lot of people ask, well, what about the batteries? There are no batteries in 98% of the applications of solar. The power that you are producing through the solar panels is used directly inside of your house. If you produce more energy than your house is consuming through the panels, then your meter spins backwards through a law called net metering. Another common question that I get is, okay, well, how can I sell energy back to the utility company? That generally doesn't happen on a residential or commercial application because there's not enough roof space on most residences to produce more in a billing period than what you're consuming in that same billing period. So solar electric is generally to offset some of the energy that you're consuming inside of the house. We have a service called energy audits where we go out and we audit your house. We take a infrared camera through the house, we look at all the walls, look at the attics, look at your breaker panels, and identify those items that are costing you energy. I had one done on my house, and halfway through I was about to kick the guy out. He found so many issues with my house, and I was like, man, it's going to cost me a little bit of money to fix these. But that's a good thing because now I know how to make my home as efficient as possible, so that solar that I have, will do more than what it did before at the same time. The other type of solar is solar hot water. Again, been around since ancient times. We've done a lot of different ways, but a lot of you youngsters may remember back in the 70s and 80s during the Carter administration, they were giving away a lot of money to put solar hot water systems on folks' house. Unfortunately, there were a lot of not so good businessmen at that time that were selling some stuff that was not properly engineered, and so it's given solar hot water a bad name. We brought back some of the manufacturers that survived when the incentives went away. They did things that made solar hot water practical, made it more dependable. We worked with a manufacturer from Florida that's been doing solar hot water since 1977, and they perfected the method of converting the sun's energy into water heating. So if you have electric water heating in your house, up to 30% of your energy is consumed in heating that water for your home. A lot of people don't know that. So if I put solar hot water, solar water heating on that tank that's now heating with electricity, up to 30% of your electric bill is gone. And that's a tremendous upfront savings. Those are typically about $4,500 just to whack 30% of your electricity bill away, which you don't get that same kind of bang for your buck with solar electric. Solar pool heating, I already talked about that, but not only with solar pool heating can you heat the pool in those months outside of from May to most people don't start swimming in the pool until May, and they swim in until maybe August, early September when it's warm enough outside. But what about the other months of the year?
Right.
September through December. One of the things that I noticed when I came from Indiana was that, you know, sometimes on November 15th it's nice outside. I can put my shorts on and go barbecue. It's one thing I like to call Mama and brag about. But, you know, what about those people that want to go swimming on November the 15th? Well, it's warm enough, but their pool's not warm enough. Well, why not use the sun to heat it up? And during the summertime, the sun cools that pool down. So we circulate the water through that at night.
Here's a question. You know, some people might say, what happens on the days when it's not sunny and bright outside? How does this affect what you're using?
Yeah, with all type of solar energy, you know, I do not advocate getting rid of fossil fuel type backup systems for solar electric. We always stay grid tied, or what we tied to the utility grid, so that if I have a couple sunny days or a couple of cloudy days, we're still getting electricity from the utility. I'm just trying to offset my consumption of solar electric. Solar hot water is the same thing. If I don't have a couple of cloudy days, then I have a heating element inside that same tank. I don't put just a regular storage tank. I put a tank with a heating element inside of it, regular hot water electric tank, or I can retrofit a gas tank, so that if I don't have sun, then or you don't have good sun, then that element comes on and heats the water. Same thing with pool. I don't advocate removing your gas water heater for those that want to go swimming on January the 15th. More power to you, but you want to turn that heater on, then take it out.
Talk about installations. Let's say, for example, I decide I'm going to move out the country, and I would like to have your services.
Sure.
All right, now, two forms. Can I just take it as an individual package deal and go to the country that I would like to reside in and set it up myself, or will I have to have you to come with me to this location, let's say in France?
There's a couple different ways to do that. I'd love to go to France.
You would like to come?
I've been to Europe a few times, and I need a vacation. But you know, we could do the design work. Electrical symbols are pretty universal, so we can do the upfront engineering. We can actually do the procurement and help you get it to where you need to go.
Do you train the people as far as the installation? Or do you prefer doing it yourself? Or how does this work?
Here locally, we prefer doing it ourselves. If I were to go outside the country, an electrician can do it. We can walk the electrician through the actual setup. There may be some troubleshooting on getting the inverter to come on properly for the electric side of the business. But you know, we can put that package together. Now, certainly, talks. You know, if I needed to go somewhere, then we can make that happen. But
what kind of money are we talking about? Just for pricing.
I'm sorry.
Pricing.
For solar electric.
Yes.
We're talking here in Houston. We're talking somewhere else.
Well, let's do both.
Here in Houston, you know, we have different packages. We have different groups of packages. For the inverter is the most restrictive part of the package, and you know, if I don't have drawings in front of everybody, it's a little hard to explain. But you can get a solar system that starts for $3,500, but it only produces 41 kilowatt hours of electricity. Now, let me go back and explain kilowatt hours for those folks who don't look at their electricity bill and all the details. You know, most people just pay the electricity bill and see the number that's on there. They don't look at it in detail. Some folks need to get that bill out and take a look. But the utility company charges you for the kilowatt hours that you consume, the actual energy that your home consumes. And then you have a cost per kilowatt hour. That's extremely important, because the higher the cost per kilowatt hour, the more your electricity bill, or the higher your electricity bill is going to be. So when I say 41 kilowatt hours, the average home consumes anywhere from 1,400 to higher consumer maybe 3,500 kilowatt hours a month. So that 41 kilowatt hours will offset a smaller portion of the guy who's taking down 3,500 as opposed to the guy who's taking down 14 or 1,300. So again, that $3,500 is for a 41 kilowatt hour consumption. Then we'll have another package that, maybe $11,000 or $12,000 for a 143 kilowatt hours. 287 kilowatt hours is somewhere around 20,000. And you can go all the way up to a system that does over 700 kilowatt hours. That could be $52,000. So it's an investment, and you have to look at it as you're buying energy today to offset the cost of what you know is going to be tomorrow. It does have a payback associated with it. You have to be prepared for that payback. But I often ask people, what's the payback on the bricks on the outside of your house? Did you think about that when you put them out there? Do they ever produce energy for you, or do they ever pay you back? Solar is the only thing that you can put on your house that actually produces energy for you and never pays itself back. Or you think of, save energy on a new AC unit that doesn't produce energy for you.
Okay, so you gave me the pricing for Houston. What about abroad?
That's got to be a little bit negotiable. I mean,
Okay.
every country's got its own situation as far as getting their permits, visas, getting the material in and out, customs, export, import. I just couldn't sit here and say exactly what.
That's good. That's fair. That's fair. That's very fair. For you to be in this particular industry at this time, what were some of the obstacles that you encountered, if any?
Believing in myself, believing that I can do it. I raised some capital. I was very, very blessed to work around some folks that have made a lot of money for themselves. God brings people into your life for a reason, and although the path was not always easy, those people seem to stick around and they befriended me. I helped them sell a company for a lot of money, and I don't know if it's through obligation or the fact that they know me as a person, they know my work ethic, they decided to invest in my dream. And so those were some of the obstacles, just getting the money together. But the other obstacles were just overcome through determination, finding suppliers, and finding employees, and finding a place to have an office, and finding a vehicle, and doing all the engineering work, and writing the brochures, and building the website. That's inside. That's something that that's not an obstacle. That's a challenge that it's there to overcome. So that's the question.
Oh, yeah. The other question that I have for you is Solar America Initiatives. Are you a part of that group?
Yes, working with a lot of different groups. The solar industry is such a small family right now that we all know each other for sure. Not all of us want to play together in the same sandbox, but we all know each other. We're very in touch with what's going on, both in the Congress and with a lot of different organizations that are around that are propelling the solar industry to the next level. So yeah, I'm involved with the AIA, American Institute of Architecture, U.S. Green Build Council, the Great Houston Builders Association. I could write off a lot of letters and acronyms, but we try to stay as tied in as possible with all types of organizations.
Well, one of the things that I thought was rather impressive, and I do understand about websites. When I pulled up, I was looking for solar energy companies here in Houston. You came up third on the list. Yes, I said, oh, great, megatabs. I'm very, very happy that you decided that you was going to embark upon this journey. I would like to know, how would you encourage some of our young scientists, high school students, to follow your path, or would you encourage them to follow?
I would. I have a set of twin 12-year-olds, and I'm on them every day about math and science because that's the future. You got to stick with it. You got to pay attention. Teachers are there to teach you for a reason, to help you out. So math and science is definitely the key to the future. So just stay with it.
Okay, and one other question for you. What is some of the things that you learned about in partnering with other people?
Not everybody has your best interest at hand, but then there are those who, as I said, God puts people in your life for a reason. You got to look at all opportunities as what they are. Partnered with some people that I walked into a gentleman's house at that office and gave him a 5-minute presentation on why I wanted to partner with him. And he's taken me more places inside the city and more people than I ever could have done. But it would have taken me a lot of time. So I've partnered with some really good people and introduced myself to a lot of good people. Partnership is the way to go. If you do it, if you try to live in a cage and do things on your own, it makes it a lot more difficult. So.
The closing question. Houston has a tendency of saying to you, in order for you to really become a part of anything happening here, you have to be certified in the various different aspects of certification. Minority business, handicap, whatever it is. And there's a long list.
Sure.
Port of Houston, the whole 9 yards. Did you have to go through that?
I didn't have to go through it. I chose to register myself at a lot of those different agencies and organizations. I have registered with Port of Houston, registered with the City of Houston. They haven't paid off, I will say, because what I have is a unique product. It's a niche product, and at this point, I'm still generating a market for it, or the market is generating itself. What I'm doing at this point is positioning myself so that when the Port of Houston has a solar project, they know who to go and call. When the City of Houston has a solar project, they know who to call. There's not an abundance of those projects laying around at this point in time, so we've kind of focused on what we call our bread and butter. That's homeowners.
That's your market, homeowners?
They're both our market. Quite frankly, the homeowners have more interest. They have more spendable capital on hand, and they can make decisions a lot faster than governmental agencies or different schools, districts, and what have you.
Well, they sure can.
So, you got to play both sides. In the long run, I think they're both going to be very important to our growth and our sustainability. But right now, I know where the bread and butter is coming from.
Cool. Information. Contact number?
713-981-3875 is our office number. Our website is www.apowersolutions. That's solutions with an S on the end.com. Please take a look. If you want more information, there is a contact us page. I tell people to fill out the contact information and just click the button. It submits it. It goes right to my BlackBerry and my email. My wife loves that.
I bet she does.
And we'll reply for those who want to call and talk to me. By all means, please do. Sometimes I'm able to respond to people more thoroughly through the telephone than I am through the website, through the internet, because I send a list of questions and a list of information that for them to read, so people just have multiple questions. So either way, some people don't like to talk to the sales guy. Some people love talking to people. Get a hold of it.
Sounds good. I want to thank you very much for coming and spending this time with us.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Oh, you're most welcome. And we'll be right back.